Hey, 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 scrappy people, it's Traci Reed here today, coming at you with TRD Scraplift Saturday, and today we are scraplifting Evelyn, and you can see her layout up in the top corner, and actually, this layout comes out very different than hers, but I was really inspired by the big, wordy cut file that she used on her layout, so that is kind of my starting point. I'm going to be working with the Filled with Intention collection and this beautiful acrylic from Colorcast Designs. You can see how perfectly the acrylic matches both my bathing suit and the collection. So hooray for that. So today I really wanted to incorporate that beautiful stripe into this page. We were in the middle of the ocean on Miami Beach getting ready to parasail. So this layout is actually going to be about how, well, I don't add a lot of words, but the layout is about how my husband is deathly afraid of heights. So is my best friend who was with us on this trip. And somehow they ended up bonded with me, who loves going up high on the edge of cliffs, parasailing, all of that. So this is sort of a like hype up layout before the actual parasailing layouts, about how I was so excited, but they were a little bit more trepidatious about it. um, my husband insists now, when he was looking at me making this layout, he insists that he was not, that he was excited, and he probably was, but he was also a little bit scared. We're not going to tell him that we know, but he was a little bit afraid too. So this is kind of a before, not before and after, but like two opposing views of this situation. I really wanted to use that should, could, would, did, but even after I trim it down, it doesn't really fit on this page well. So I end up not using it, but that's okay. I'm going to use other things that work out really well. So the Filled with Intention collection is about like goal setting, overcoming obstacles, that sort of a thing. And so you wouldn't really expect it in a vacation layout, but it works perfectly. First of all, the colors work perfectly, obviously, but also it worked perfectly for this specific layout because I did something that I'd been wanting to do forever. And my husband and my best friend did something that they overcame their obstacle, and did it too and had fun. So that is sort of the vibe I'm going for, and it works really well with this collection. So I'm also going to incorporate this rainbow because, again, it works perfectly with the colors of this collection, so I'm going to put it up here in this top corner. One thing to keep in mind when using acrylic pieces is because they are very thick, if you want to maximize the amount of pages you can fit in one album, you need to make sure that your acrylic pieces don't overlap when the album pages fold. So you don't want them to be like on the same horizontal plane, so that when the album is closed, they're not like creating double the width, they're creating just one level of width, I suppose. I'm going to incorporate these circles because I thought that all of these straight lines could use some fun circle embellishments, and of course they are hearts, and that yellow one kind of represents the sun a bit. I thought it worked out pretty well. I admit, when I was looking at it right now, like here in this place, I was like, maybe I don't like those very much, but they do end up working out, and I like them a lot when it's all said and done. So yay for that. I want to incorporate some of these word bits, and you can see that I've pulled out a bunch of word bits that I thought would work with the vibe of this page, and I have them all in the little bin right there. I don't know which ones I'm going to use yet, so I have them all sitting there waiting for me. That is one way I save time when I scrapbook, and why I can create so many pages. I get asked that question a lot. I scrapbook a lot, I design a lot, I do a lot, and so time management is a really big thing when trying to do a lot. So that is one way I manage my time. So I wanted to include that adios comfort zone because I thought it worked out really well, but of course that adds black into the page, so I need to make sure that I add black into the page in other places too. So I'm going to start sticking these circles and these photos down. I'm going to put my photos right across from each other, creating some balance. I really wanted to do what Evie did and put my photo over the words, but I couldn't put them over the words in a way that made them still legible. And if you looked at her original layout, there actually, she does cover up some of the words, and I like it in her page, but I couldn't handle it in my own page. I like to be able to read the words. So I didn't end up doing that. And that is probably why this page took such a drastic turn from hers. Her page is actually fairly simple besides that big, beautiful cut file that she uses. And I am not a simple scrapper. I think you all know that by now. So my page takes a drastic turn. That's okay though, because the whole point of scraplifting is not to necessarily recreate things exactly. It is to be inspired by the talent of the other scrapbookers out there. So that is why we do the Scraplift challenge every other week, so that we can all get inspired by other team members and enjoy sort of emulating some of the really special things that they do. So I'm going to incorporate, I've got all of my circles down, so I'm going to start incorporating some flowers too. You can see that even the flowers are kind of circular, so I want to make sure that I include some of these leaves as well to break up some of those circles. The word bits that I chose, the In My Wildest Dreams and Today, are both circles as well. Plus that tag, it's like a scalloped circle, the word on there, like the word bit. So I really wanted to make sure, like I have a lot of straight lines and a lot of circles going on, so I really wanted to make sure that I broke up all of those repeating elements with some more organic lines. So that's what I'm doing here, incorporating these leaves and flowers into the page. So I'm going to stick all of these down, probably move them around a bit because that's how I roll. And this page actually came together really quickly once I got everything settled in my mind. Sometimes like I get really fussy with layouts and they take a really long time. Sometimes they just come together really quickly and I'm less fussy about them, and this is definitely one that I was less fussy about, because I think because the acrylic pieces are so large, they take up such a good portion of the layout that there's a lot less room on the page to be fussy, right? They become the centerpiece along with the photo, and you really are working around these large pieces and trying to make sure that everything feels balanced rather than trying to add things to the page to fill it out, which I feel like that's two separate ways that I approach scrapbooking. I either start with a really big centerpiece and work around it, trying to balance it, or I start with smaller things and then work around that, trying to create enough volume on my page that it feels balanced. So it's like two separate ways that I work when I'm scrapbooking, and it's pretty interesting when you take a step back and figure out your own process to figure out how you work as a scrapbooker and why maybe you gravitate towards certain other scrapbookers, either because they're very different than you or because they're the same as you. So this is the last thing that I'm going to add to this page. I felt like I just needed a little bit more organic movement because I had a lot of symmetry going on. I just added those tags in that sort of mirror each other as well. So I wanted a little bit more organic movement. So I'm going to do that with these blue sequins that actually came with the Cocoa Daisy Winter collection this year, but are just a beautiful like sea blue and work perfectly. So I'm going to scatter these around the page and then I'm going to call it good. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. If you're interested in finding other scraplifts of Evie, there is a link in the description box below to the blog post. All right, thank you.